We made incremental changes. It was, with a very in every step, we ended up building a plan that had like 30 pieces. We changed our partners to be trustworthy. But the very first step we took was DPC. Now we happen to be big enough to be on site. That it doesn't have to be on site at all. It can be near site, right? So that was just what we did. There's advantages and disadvantages to that, but near site's just fine. But we did DPC. We invested $250,000. I served as the general contractor to minimize the construction costs. But we had the CFO came to me and said, we've gotten that $250,000 return. We didn't expect this. I thought we'd take one step, we'd measure 1 year later. It was in my head. Well, the first quarter closed. He comes back 5 months later smiling, Matt, we just paid for that clinic and then some. Can you do some more of this? So then we said, okay, well, physical therapy is like, I call it even DPT, direct physical therapy. We ended up putting a little room next to the primary clinic. This is the primary care of musculoskeletal. We can support people through that. We can prevent surgeries. A lot of the surgeries that happen in the hospitals, by the way, guys, as you probably well know, the listeners are not necessary. You ask a surgeon in the hospital if you need surgery, you're going to get a surgery. You ask the independent ones, they'll give you a more anesthesia. We did that. So then, and even when then we added on-site MRI. We put in a plug. We could have, at the time, it was just this semi. But we realized if that semi was parked at the hospital plugged in there, that it was $5,000. But if it was parked at our building, it was $500. So there's a lot of money flowing around that wasn't going to value. So then we started looking at our health plan design. We said, wow, how do we get people to do this? Right. You guys good at math. My wife tells me about girl math all the time. She's got some pretty special girl math going on. But I always say 70% of people are good at math. The other 40 are, and I'm not sure which part I fall into. But we realized that it was better for the plan, right? This year's claims or next year's premiums. Mm-hmm. It's better for the plan to spend 100% of 500 than 80% of $5,000. I can do that.
Yeah.
Right. So the plan wins every time. And guess what? We can give it away to the patient. Imagine that, free MRIs. And then I went down and I got a chance to meet Keith Smith and the Surgery Center of Oklahoma. Now we have much closer options today. But that was what we were aware of at the time. And we could get a hip replacement at the time it was right on, their prices are right online, just like Solstice Health and many others, Renovo, $15,000 and something, bundled price. So even before the renewal, I'm like, I'm not waiting for renewal on this. We're doing this outside the plan. We'll just write them a check. We're self-funded. We'll just write them a check. I wouldn't recommend that long-term, but I'm like, I'm waiting another 9 months to, right? So we got free hip surgeries. In fact, we give you $2,500 if you go. Cover all your travel, right? This sounds kind of insane if this isn't a thing yet, right? And there was some across the country. And so then the PT traveled with the first one. He was the companion, making sure they were okay with it, of course. But like, I want you to see this experience. I want you to see how it goes. We put them in first class, but they're still in a commercial airport after a hip replacement. Well, we did 3 of those. And we could actually put money in their pocket. They didn't go broke. They'd been putting it off. They're limping around because they can't afford it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Put money in their pocket. And I started seeing these stories like this. They're walking around the business, by the way, and they're telling everybody.
There you go. Yep.
That was pretty amazing. So that's part of that change management.